We watched a video on male beauty standards before that was kind of similar to this, I'm assuming, where people look at Instagram and then they, you know, inject steroids to like look like Instagram influencers. Yeah. I think this will be a really good topic to cover. Yeah, BBL Drizzy, yeah, for sure. Brazilian butt lifts. Oh my god. All right, 3, 2, 1.
If one trend of 2023 shows how far we've fallen, it was the Barbie Botox. Named after the toy's signature long neck, the procedure spread like wildfire on Instagram after the release of the film. A series of injections to the trapezius muscles in the neck renders them unable to contract, which lowers your shoulders and makes your neck look slightly longer.
Doesn't that really mess with your muscles, like in your neck? If they're constantly stiff, you're supposed to relax them at some point, no? Now I feel really good. Now I feel really self-conscious about my neck.
Despite the risk of muscle paralysis and severe pain, thousands of people rushed out to get this hot new treatment. But this is a very recent phenomenon. No one did this in the past. No movie made people do this kind of thing. And that's when you realize that the Barbie Botox is just the tip of a massive iceberg. A trend that
I kind of disagree, because people used to follow aristocrats back in the day, in like the Renaissance era and stuff, where peasants would see aristocrats and people like that who are higher class, right? And they would copy them, you know, like they would do like putting makeup on their faces with lead and then faint because the lead makes you sick. And they did that because it was like stylish. It happened, but not as much probably at this point. Yeah.
That's hiding behind the surface.
Yeah,
you see, the plastic surgery industry has been booming for years off the back of Instagram and TikTok. Invasive procedures go in and out of fashion every month, as a young impressionable audience goes from one insecurity to another, fed to them by Instagram's algorithm. Meanwhile, celebrities and influencers work hand in hand with the industry, making promotional posts and boasting about their procedures and the results.
Ooh, I know for a fact. So I went to a school where we had Korean exchange students from like Korea, and they told me some horror stories of being like 13 and then their mom and dad like give them a little bit of money at a time to like save up for surgeries that they might want to get in the future. She said she had like $100 from like the last 2 years of her birthdays where she would save it up. And I'm like, she's like, is that what your parents do? And I'm like, what? Huh? No, that was crazy. No, it's a thing there, apparently. Maybe some more rich people, more affluent people, but definitely a thing.
As new procedures dip in and out of fashion, influencers target people's mental weaknesses and make a fortune drumming up clients for the industry. And now that plastic surgery is growing fastest among young adults looking to replicate the inhuman perfection they see on the app, it's time we really expose how Instagram is quite literally changing the face of the world. At the time of its founding, it would have been nearly impossible to predict the rise of Instagram into one of the biggest social media apps in the world. But looking back, it's easy to see that all the right ingredients were there for massive success. It all goes down to the founders Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. The pair originally met while studying.
Didn't they sell this off to Facebook? Yeah, I remember they wanted people to link their Facebooks to their Instagram and stuff. That stuff was crazy. He covers it? Okay.
At Stanford, and even before they had started their careers, they were being headhunted by the big names in tech. Kevin Systrom even turned down an internship at Facebook to spend time studying photography in Italy. Kevin would go on to intern at Odeo, a small app which would later become Twitter. And afterwards, he would then get headhunted by Google and worked there for 2 years. But even after a short time in the industry, Kevin was frustrated. He had just been passed up for a promotion and was sick of the culture of the company, and went against all the original ideas of Silicon Valley. Kevin wanted to fully throw himself into a creative idea and exploit an opening in the market by building something of his own. Kevin knew his old college friend Mike was just as ambitious as he was, and so he thought he would explain his vision for a new app, something he would tell Forbes in an interview a few years later. Mike Krieger and I created Instagram because we wanted a way to communicate visually. We realized that we'd be taking all these photos with our iPhones that would sit on our camera roll, and it felt like they should be seen, not necessarily because they were good photos, but because a photo that no one sees isn't really that interesting. Every photo
remember when I was a kid, we had kids that had iPhones and stuff, but it was not really that popular to post photos outside of like maybe on Flickr or Photo Bucket. You know, using really bad like GIMP and Photoshop to like try and fix bad pictures taken from your cell phone or from your parents' cell phone. That was really popular. But that was way, 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 way before Instagram. What's Photo Bucket? You're too young, I guess, but it was a thing where you'd post pictures. It was like Imgur before Imgur was a thing too.
You take communicates something about a moment in time, a brief slice of time of where you were, who you were with, and what you were doing. And funnily enough, their idea would prove to be one of the most lucrative ideas of the 21st century. Kevin and Mike immediately got to work on Instagram, pouring everything they had into this new app. And in just 2 weeks, they had already secured $500,000 of funding from investors.
Whoa!
And were starting to get it ready to launch to the public. But it still wasn't easy. It took the pair a year of work to get everything ready, but they still weren't prepared for what would happen next. Now, there was plenty of interest in the app, and they could tell this from the demos. And so as soon as they launched the app, within just the first week, Instagram had gained over 100,000 users in 2010.
That's insane. 100,000. Back in 2010, that's insane. Not everyone had a phone by then.
This was the highest amount of users gained for any single social media app in history. The service for the app and the infrastructure wasn't enough to keep up with the massive influx of users. The new company that barely had anyone working for it had already far exceeded expectations, and so they would have to invest tons back in just to keep the app functional, with back-end tweets and more processing power. And so the first year was just a mad rush to keep up with the user base, with Kevin and Mike sacrificing everything in their lives to keep it afloat.
I think it really popped off in 2012 and 13. I remember all the girls in my school, for some godforsaken reason, started making Instagrams and stuff, and I was like, man, why the hell do I have to, why do I want to upload and like look at people's pictures? I just have Facebook.
But just when they thought they had gotten on top of the growth, there would be more crashes and more problems to deal with. But as time went on, and they streamlined the process, their hard work was richly rewarded. You see, investors saw this and knew they had to get a piece of the pie. In less than 2 months after its launch, the app already hit 1 million users, and Instagram was injected with $7 million of investor funding, particularly through System Silicon Valley connections. And users just loved how you could make your photos look so much better than other apps like Facebook.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, they did. I remember when my phone, when I got my phone, I think there was the Samsung Galaxy 4 or something. I bought it with my own money. Or was it the 4 or the 6? I can't remember. But they didn't have this filter stuff. It only came with Instagram and maybe iPhones. I had a Samsung. Oh my gosh. Now it's on every phone. It just has a default for this. Back then, it was only exclusively for like apps and stuff where you had to like process it and then save it and then, you know, put it online.
And the key here was filters. Brought in relatively early on to make up for the poor quality of smartphone cameras at the time, the introduction of various photo filters would prove revolutionary. With the touch of a button, users could iron out their wrinkles, cover up any blemishes, and
Oh my god, the day the dog filter came out for all the girls in school and in college, oh my god, it changed everything. Everybody started using the dog filter to try and be like, like, you know when you stick out the tongue and then it like shoots out the tongue? Oh my god, I thought that was so cringe.
Transform their mundane experiences into picturesque moments.
So bad.
What was meant as a simple fix for the lacking technology of the time took on a life of its own. Filters gave Instagram an air of perfection and artistic expression that transcended the dull, boring photos your relatives were posting on Facebook at the time. Although Kevin and Mike could never have foresaw what they had really created and how this would be used in the future. But at the same time that Kevin—
Yeah, now phones come with filters. It's crazy. They didn't have that before. You had to download Instagram or like a different app.
and Mike were building the photo app in the future, something else was going on. Other people were laying the groundwork for an entirely different way to push past the limits of natural beauty. Now, if you're going to blame anyone for the massive rise in plastic surgery, then you'd have to talk about people like the Kardashians. They were unique.
Oh my god. I had a friend who had an older sister that was into like actually watching the Kardashians. Keep up with the Kardashians, and we'd go like past her room and she'd be watching it on her little television. Oh my lord, I always thought it was so stupid. with all their plastic surgeries and their lip fillers. Oh my lord. And it wasn't just her. Don't get me wrong. It was just really popular with older girls. Because I wasn't into this stuff and neither were my friends. It's just with their older sisters. Oh my lord. And the oldest Kardashian.
Among celebrities at the time because they truly offered nothing except for their image and their lifestyle. Coming to fame in 2007 after her viral sex tape,
oh my god, I remember that!
Kim and the gang went on to hold their 15 minutes of fame and stretched it out over multiple decades. Kim and her family—
imagine getting famous for a sex tape. That's crazy to me. Like, why is that even a thing? Oh, I popped off because my sex tape got leaked. Like, what?
Family's signature look exploded onto modern culture and still has an effect on beauty standards today. The modern world's obsession with full lips, big butts, and stenciled eyebrows is—
oh my god, wait, go back, hold on.
Standards today. The modern world's obsession with full lips, big butts, and stenciled—
why is that even a thing? Why is he taking a selfie with her butt? With her Brazilian lifted butt? Who's this guy? I literally have no clue. Just what? Why?
Stenciled eyebrows is in large part thanks to them. Of course, the image they sold to the world so easily didn't really bear any relation to reality. First, as you can probably guess, there's all the cosmetic surgeries and procedures they've gone through to get them.
Oh my lord. Sorry, he was being— he hates fake butts. My apologies. He starts barking when the neighbors like slamming doors and stuff. Yeah, my bad. I did, but alright, 3, 2, 1.
Then countless layers of makeup, professional photography, and Photoshop were added on. But out of thousands of those photos, only a select few were chosen to be shown to the public. Before the rise of social media—
that's another thing. I remember when all the girls at my school were like making Facebooks and stuff. And then when they graduated from college, they only post the best pictures, like their weddings and, oh, I went to Hawaii or I went to like the Cook Islands for my vacation, and they only post the best pictures. That actually has an influence on your mentality if you go on Facebook constantly and see other people succeeding way more than you do, even though they might have problems in the background that you just don't know about. We didn't used to have that issue in society, and now we do because of Facebook and social media. Yeah.
This kind of deception was only available to the rich and famous. Even their own influence alone has a huge effect on the cosmetic surgery industry. When a 17-year-old Kylie Jenner boasted of getting lip fillers to achieve her signature look, online searches for the procedure went up by over 3,000%.
3,000%! That's insane! All because of one woman posting on Instagram. Like, constantly. But butt lifts as well because her ass was so fat. Oh my gosh.
The so-called Brazilian butt lift procedures have only grown in popularity thanks to Kim and her family. The procedure involves a surgeon taking fat deposits from elsewhere on the body and then transferring them to the buttocks.
Yeah, we read, well, we didn't read. We watched a video about it where it's really, really dangerous to the point where it's banned in some countries. Yeah, they get embolisms that they clog their arteries and stuff, and then they have embolisms because of it. Like, why would you risk that? You could die. I die for beauty.
Between 2000 and 2018, the amount of butt lift procedures has risen by over 250%. Over time, though, the procedures fades away and the results disappear, so regular procedures are required to keep it up. Even
you have to keep doing it. I did not know that.
Kardashians themselves regretted the procedure in the end, with Kim recently admitting that she'd stopped having her top-ups. The procedure is—
she stopped having her butt top-ups. Yeah, can you schedule me to top up my butt? Just like Botox? Yeah, Botox you have to do forever because your skin has to, like, you know, it eventually, I think it diffuses it through your body, through like, you know, through the years, and it starts sagging. You have to redo it. That's why the older you get, the worse the Botox looks when you stop doing it. You have to constantly do it more and more and more because of the elasticity as well. Your elasticity naturally goes down over time. I know a lot about this stuff now that we watched a few videos on it. Well, to top it off, I did learn about it in school a little bit.
Massively popular, but also incredibly risky compared to other cosmetic surgery. When it goes wrong, people can get nasty infections and sometimes require surgery to remove the implants. Or if the fat gets into the bloodstream, it can actually cause
like you get a clot and then you explode.
Embolisms and blockages to vital organs. 1 in every 4,000 people die as a result of the complications, which is what led to the UK banning it in 2018. Eventually, they reversed the decision in 2022 after bringing in new safety regulations, but there's still a whole world of unlicensed practitioners performing a different version of the procedure. While they're not allowed to—
Oh my god, I just reminded me of something. I think I had a friend in school that said that I think she jokingly said this, but she said, oh, because it's really expensive here, I might go to Turkey and get get some surgery done. And I'm like, what? Why, man? What are you doing? Just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's better.
With the amount of botched procedure photos, it is surprising that people still attempt it.
I mean, people drink and drive and they still do it. Some might not get in trouble because of it, but some people do. It's the same thing, you just get unlucky. Yeah. You do something dangerous, you always run the risk. Like, going outside is technically dangerous, but you just increase your risk by doing or applying multiple factors to it. No matter how many BBLs you do, you will never have a fatter ass than Dave. Damn! Oh, fat ass. There's Dave. Going to Turkey's popular. I didn't understand the correlation. I didn't understand the correlation for a while where people said, oh, I'm going to go to Turkey to get surgery done because I lived in Europe because it was closer, right? I was like, where are you going to Turkey? And they're like, oh, one day I'm going to get surgery done there. I'm going to get my teeth done there. That was a really common one too. Dental surgery and stuff.
To perform the surgical version with the potentially fatal side effects, they're still allowed to blindly inject people with artificial substances. It's not like the UK's ban really did anything anyway. The people who were determined enough to get it done were freely able to just go abroad to places like Turkey or Mexico where the procedure is completely legal and often mostly unregulated and far cheaper. Even today, there's countless adverts for this all over Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, they pay for ads. They target you. That's why when you Google something and you go on your Facebook, it starts bringing it up as well because of the cookies. Did your friend end up doing it? I don't know. It was just a school friend. Again, when I say friend, I mean more like loosely, like we hung out sometimes at school. I don't think I kept in touch with them. I don't know.
But nothing has promoted plastic surgery and made the world more plastic and fake than it's ever been, like Instagram. The Kardashians might have remained in the background for most people, ending up as has-been stars like so many before them. But instead, their recipe for success based on their looks and their status alone was about to go global. And that was all thanks to Instagram. But how did an innocent photo sharing website become the money-making machine it is today? The answer is Mark Zuckerberg. You see, Zuck's vision for a
Mr. The Zuck, he's gonna buy Instagram.
Social media business was a lot different compared to Kevin Systrom or Mike Krieger. While they were thinking about how to make money from people's photos, Mark was interested in commodifying the people instead. Even before Mark started Facebook, he had already demonstrated his true feelings towards his users.
Oh my god, what a savage! Savage but true, honestly. Mark Zuckerberg called people who handed over their data dumb fucks. I'm not gonna say it, but he did say it. No, he's right. He's not wrong. He's a dick, but he's not wrong.
While he's rejected that the film The Social Network was true in his account of his website FaceMash.
Right, like they just can't wrap their head around the idea that someone might build something because they like building things.
I don't believe that. College kids are still kind of like almost kids, basically. When you're fresh into college, you're still kind of like developing. I wouldn't put it past them. or anyone else for that matter. Yeah, he did make people like what he did. He made a website rating girls. I watched the movie. It was actually not bad. It was a little bit of an over dramatization, but yeah, I do think that happened. I do think that he made it to, you know, look at hot chicks and rate them, and it made them upset, and then he made Facebook.
The evidence shows that it wasn't that far off.
Yep,
Articles from
here it
Harvard
is.
newspapers show how he plundered Harvard's registers for pictures of people's faces. He then used these to create a website where people could
Yeah.
rank each other on attractiveness, while the backend secretly assigned them their own rating out of 10. While it was quickly shut down, the stunt informed the future development of Facebook to a massive degree. Facebook did the same thing in turning its users into the product, just in a more sinister way. It was all about maximizing engagement for users, whilst plundering all the possible data they could find, and then selling
Putting in your date of birth and year and school and where you're from, what languages you speak, and then scraping that data to resell to advertisers. And then those advertisers know exactly what you are, like what your demographic is. Yeah. Yeah. This is why he called everyone dumb fucks.
this to advertisers and giving them easy targets for their campaigns was the final step in the profit machine. Whilst these weren't new ideas, Zuckerberg perfected them at Facebook, a combination of aggressive data hoarding and
Because ultimately Facebook was free and it always will be free, but they are selling your data because you are using something like this to like talk to your friends or talk to your mom or your dad, your cousins. You are the product. You're not paying the sub. Facebook has never been like, oh, pay to win kind of thing. Well, not pay to win, but like pay to use, I guess. Yeah.
addictive design practices turned Facebook into one of the biggest companies in the planet, almost overnight. But already by the early 2010s, and Zuckerberg knew deep down that Facebook would be on the way out at the end of the decade, as he was failing to capture the next generation and was losing out to younger, more organic
Gen Z winning again. Survey says teenagers prefer Instagram over Facebook. Was this in 2014? When did Facebook buy Instagram? Can someone tell me? Because this article was made in 2014. Does this mean that Zuck knew that it was like a failing ship and he just bought him out because he knew what to do? 2012.
apps like
It was
Instagram.
later than
Meanwhile,
that.
things weren't amazing at Instagram either. Sure, growth was solid and the business was doing well, but after
Nice.
2 years of grinding away, Kevin and Mike were sick of doing it alone. Now, they had built up a team by this point, but it was always an uphill struggle to keep up with the growth of the app. Some sort of merger or acquisition would put an end to these troubles.
Yep.
It would give them all the
Smart.
investments they needed, with the added bonus of the infrastructure to push Instagram to the next level. So after turning down a few other suitors, Kevin and Mike sold the company almost
$1 billion
entirely to Mark
dues.
Zuckerberg and Facebook in 2012.
Americans share photos on Instagram. A company with only 13 employees bought today by Facebook for $1 billion.
And now he's corrupting all the Gen Zers. I really do think Zuck is an evil alien sent to destroy us. He is evil and really smart.
At first, it seemed like they made the right choice. Kevin and Mike were still semi-independent, and they were free to grow the app however they wanted. And through the intelligent use of their new resources, Instagram had exploded in popularity. Within a year,
Yep.
they hit 50 million users, then 100 million a few months afterwards.
Insane.
And this all came at a cost, because it wasn't long before Mark came in to slowly force the founders out, along with their original principles, allowing Facebook to make changes to the app and its business model forever. In 2014, Facebook pushed for changes to the data
I remember this because ads started getting pushed a lot on Instagram. Yeah. I remember reading an article something around this time, reading and seeing that Instagram was apparently getting a lot of ads and they wanted to increase revenue, and then they left the company, and I was like, I mean, I kind of should have expected this, I'm not gonna lie.
hoarding
Yeah,
practices,
like-
making the app use Facebook's invasive tactics. A year later, they gave advertisers far more power on the app.
Yeah, and you had to link your Facebook as well to Instagram. Well, you didn't have to. They didn't put a gun to your head, but they liked to push it a lot so that they could tie it together so that they can, you know, get more of your info, your data.
Letting them run 30-second adverts and buying products directly through
Yep.
the app. compromising your personal information and data security with the new hands of Mark Zuckerberg, a man notorious for exploiting all of your information and using it against you. That's why while you're exploring services like Instagram, every sign-up or interaction might expose you to potential spam, scams, or identity theft. But imagine navigating these apps like Instagram with complete control of your personal information, never having to compromise your privacy for the sake of convenience. Well, this is where our video sponsor Cloaked steps in. You see, Cloaked uses advanced technologies like client-side encryption and zero-knowledge access, ensuring that all of your communications are securely encrypted and completely private. This means you can use apps like Instagram without ever having to worry about your personal details being compromised. I mean,
how do they generate a phone for you to use? Dude, that's actually kind of neat.
Think about it. While you're using apps like Instagram, every sign-up or interaction you have on the app might expose you to potential scams or even identity theft. But what if you could go online, where you could use social media apps like Instagram and sign up for rewards, make purchases, or even test out new apps without ever having to give away your actual phone number or email? That's kind of nice. Well, Cloaked is a great solution to this, because with Cloaked, you can instantly create phone numbers, email addresses, and more to create a fully functional identity that protects your personal details from being abused, allowing you to sign up for rewards and discounts, all whilst avoiding all the spam that usually comes with it. You don't need to use your real phone number on dating apps. You don't have to use your actual email address on things like Instagram, or even have to use the internet without having to disclose your personal contact information. At the same time, Cloaked allows you to manage your passwords, texts, and emails via specialized inboxes that's accessible on desktops, extensions.
I get so many spam texts on my WhatsApp and my phone number. I hate it so much. That's interesting that I still have my info to an extent. I don't know how it works. I'd have to like really research this kind of stuff.
And mobile devices. And if you ever decide you no longer wish to communicate with contacts holding your Cloaked email or phone number, you can simply mute them directly from the app. And with the app, you'll have a unique database that spreads out data, that forges an encrypted barrier between your information and Cloaked. I'm routing your regular phone number for text and phone calls through Cloaked for extra security. So if you want to secure your personal information and not have to deal with all the garbage in your inboxes and messages, be sure to sign up to Cloaked today and make sure to use my link in the description so that you can get a discount too. The most insidious changes that happened when Zuckerberg took over Instagram were far more subtle. In 2014, Instagram added a whole suite of different editing tools. The app went from a place to post filters.
The day... Guys, you're not gonna believe this. I remember the day one of the really popular girls got an iPhone and she posted an Instagram photo. Her blurriness made it look like she had no blemishes, but I knew her in real life and I sat like close to her and I walked past her. You know when you put on too much makeup and you're like a teenager, you don't really know how to apply makeup very well yet. You could see the cake on her face, but on Instagram it looked like she was like completely flawless and had no blemishes, covered by makeup, foundation, extra creams on top of that. Like, it is crazy. The day they made that a thing where you blur the face and like do the, you know, the crazy editing. That was like in what, 2015, 16? Oh my god, dude, that shit popped off. All the girls in school started using that stuff.
To pictures of your real life into a showroom for the best looking photos of yourself that you could possibly create. By 2016, they made it so algorithms would decide what photos the app would show you. Instead of giving you a timeline of the photos that your friends had posted, Instagram would only show what it thought you would engage with the most, laying the groundwork for the addictive design that Facebook had already mastered. When
TikTok does this too, and it's so infuriating. When I scroll through TikTok now, I get like an ad every like 3 to 4 scrolls. It's so irritating. It actually makes me want to stop scrolling. Twitter does it too. Yeah, Twitter, I hate it when it does that.
Began pushing for location tracking, it was the final straw for Kevin and Mike. They hated the direction the app was taking. They saw that Zuckerberg was using their app as a machine that turned people's addictions into a weapon against humanity. They thought that Zuck's push for maximum engagement would lead to some of the worst problems that we see today in society. The environment on Instagram was now a constant competition to get the most followers and the most likes on your photos, always having to look the best you possibly could for the algorithm, with the aid of Instagram's inbuilt Photoshop.
Oh, it's giving me PTSD. Ugh.
Unlike the founders, Zuckerberg didn't care
popular
at
girls
all
at
that the
school.
problems on the app would soon spill over into society. As long as it kept making him billions, it didn't matter.
Zuck-pilled.
Eventually in late 2018, Kevin and Mike gave up fighting against the tide and just decided to leave the company entirely, leaving
Yeah, I
Mark
remember.
Zuckerberg free to fully realize his plans for Instagram, and this has had an awful effect on society ever since. You see, plastic surgery was still a niche industry up until this point. It was only reserved for medical purposes, Hollywood actors and trophy wives. It wasn't nearly as common as it was today, but all of this changed with the arrival of Instagram in the early 2010s.
And it also became less expensive because it became so popular. Yeah.
Almost overnight, we saw a rapid transformation in
My
how people
God.
presented themselves online and the images of people we see. Now, we've already discussed what the Kardashians and other celebrities would do to get the perfect picture. After the surgeries, camera angles, and airbrushing, the final image is barely recognizable as the person it depicts. Instagram puts this power into the hands of the people. With the high-powered
And another thing is that there was another video we watched that was about women thinking that their nose is too massive because the camera lens elongated their face and made them look wider than they actually are. And in that video, they had to explain that the doctor had to explain to them that they don't actually look like that and that they should maybe reconsider the surgery. Like, at least the good doctors do that. Yeah, the focal length, exactly. It is so sad. They think that they're ugly, but they're not. Where you take a picture in the mirror because the mirror doesn't actually reflect how you look, but then you turn around and do the selfie camera, it makes your face look warped. And people think that's actually how they look like that. It's sad.
camera in people's pockets, they could take what would have been a normal photo, add a filter and some Photoshop to it, and create a vision of perfection. All the little flaws and blemishes that
Like, look at that. This is what the girl that I was talking about, I sat like a few desks away, and I remember she would cake her face with like makeup, and then when you post on Instagram, it blurs your like pores and stuff. Like, again, she's not old, or she wasn't old at the time, she was a teenager, but you can see all the wrinkles, the pores of the face, the lines, the makeup caking to their face like a little bit at a time on their complexion. But then when you post it on here, there's none of that. It's not the same, and they think they have to look like that.
Imagine they would say their skin is too dark if they make picture in night and would bleach the skin to make it more visible at night.
What? I don't understand, but okay.
make people human got ironed out. Now nearly anyone could achieve the level of unrealistic perfection that graced magazine covers for years. On its own, this would have been troubling. For decades, people worried about the negative effect on people's self-esteem.
Yeah. Imagine now in Gen Z with Instagram. Because when I was in school, people kind of like used Facebook a little bit. It was a little bit boomerish, I guess. But then when Instagram became a fucking big thing, oh my god, it changed everything. All the popular girls are like, oh my god, I have to put like all this makeup on my face and then use a million filters to look at that. 1992? Wait, this is 1992? Oh my god, I thought this were they wrote this so long ago, man.
And self-image that beauty magazines and Hollywood
Snapchat
had.
was
But
massive.
Instagram took this to the next level, 100 timesing this problem by turning it into a global competition with
Oh my
millions of fans
God.
and billions of dollars on the line for the winners. So of course, it wasn't long before people realized that to win this game, you had to go as far as
it's Paris
possible for
Hilton.
the Instagram algorithm to
Oh, and then the healing from the surgery. When you get a rhinoplasty, oh my gosh, it is so painful. You can't like eat, it hurts to breathe. I feel so bad for them. There's so much pain that comes with plastic surgery.
bless you, you had to do whatever it took. The more focused on your image you were, the more money and popularity you could get as an influencer. Constantly being dangled over you, your feed showing you all these people sucked into the same Instagram algorithm. tapping into all your primal needs, playing into men's sexual urges, and for everybody's desire for fame and attention. It became about selling the illusion of perfection. For a successful influencer, every photo pushed this narrative a bit further forward. They showed
everything looks perfect. Look at their, like, the placement of their,
for a successful influencer,
of their body, and like how much they reveal, and people think that this is reality. That's what's scary to me. Because when I was a kid and I would flick through like a magazine or like see one in the kiosk and I'd pick it up and flick through it, I'd be like, that is obviously photoshopped, or like there's a lot of makeup involved. But for some reason, I feel like there's no more understanding of what's real and what's fake. I don't know, maybe because I used a lot of Photoshop like a long time ago because I did photography for fun, and I knew what I could do with like warping reality, like, you know, making something darker, like blurring something out. I didn't do like really in-depth like skin photography, but I knew girls who did do that. They learned how to Photoshop themselves.
Every photo pushed this narrative a bit further forward. They showcased their perfect bodies, their perfect lives, relaxing by pools, in million-dollar yachts, penthouses across the world, smiling with their equally perfect friends. It didn't matter that none of this was actually real and that it was all a fantasy. I mean, strip away the filters and the staged moments, and you just be left with a sad picture of self-obsession and insecurity. Living this way and focusing your whole life on your image is a terrible recipe for disaster. You would expect models, the people who are selected by society as the best looking people in the world, to have the least problems with critiquing their own appearance. But in fact,
no, they had I had a friend. This is gonna be a bummer, but I had a friend named Sarah, and she was really, really skinny. And she always said it was part of her metabolism, but it turns out she had an actual eating disorder. And nobody knew about it because she hid it so well, and it's because she thought that she had to look really skinny, and being like normal weight was like, she never said it to anybody else, but because she always focused it on herself, and she thought that if she was like, I don't know, it's a really, really bad body dysmorphia, because when you look in the mirror when you have anorexia, you see yourself as fat even though you're not. But when she looked at other people, they were normal. It's really sad. Very sad.
It's the opposite. Over 40% struggle with body dysmorphia.
She wasn't a model either.
And disordered eating. But this was just for models. This used to just be for these kinds of people whose entire livelihoods depended on their image. But in the last few years, Instagram has globalized this toxic mindset because of the results of its grand competition for visual perfection. All of the perfect illusions posted by influencers online were eaten up by the hundreds of millions of users Instagram gained in just a few short years. Some parts of Instagram culture, like using
and filters, man. Look at how perfect their skin looks. That's not realistic.
Filters and photoshopping your selfies entered the mainstream and affected the rest of the internet. It all had the effect of making everyone subconsciously disappointed with their own comparatively boring lives. And
it's just like that with posting pictures of expensive food or expensive cars. I found out some guy in my school rented a car to post on Instagram with him in it, and then he tried to pass it off like his dad bought it for him, but then it turned out that it was just rented for a couple of days. Oh my god, and everybody bullied him for it because he said that it was his dad that bought it for him. He said, because at the time, if you're 16, you could drive yourself to school. It was like a restricted license, right? And he could do that, but everybody always said, why don't you drive like your car that your dad bought for you that you posted on Instagram? He's like, oh, you know, it's a really expensive car. I don't want to drive it every day. So he'd always drive like a lesser car, I guess, to him. And then they found out that it was just a rental car from like I don't even know, like some company, I guess. Or maybe when it was one of his friends, dad's friends. What a loser. But like I'm saying, this is why people, or like young people, do this kind of thing because they think it's normal. They want to fit in. They want to look cool. That's why I think it's sad, especially with teenagers and younger people. They just don't know any better and they're stupid.
you weren't part of the influencer elite, then your life looked worse than the ones you'd see online
social
every
media
single
influencers,
day.
yeah.
And if you didn't have the flawless figure and perfect face like the influencers, then you just weren't good enough to join the club. The algorithm wouldn't bless you. You'd just be left in the bottom of the barrel, constantly refreshing your likes to see if anyone would give you more attention. And over time, this has led to a huge rise in insecurity, mental illnesses, and body dysmorphia amongst young people in particular.
Yeah, men and women have that, absolutely. I think women have it a little bit worse because you're not... Again, it's a lot more common to have plastic surgery as a woman than a man. But men also have to go through it. They think they have to take steroids to look like, you know, Ryan Gosling and stuff. Yeah, it's very, very depressing to think about that there's like 14-year-olds injecting steroids to look like bodybuilders and stuff. They have their own, like, problems, too. Yeah, short men getting gruesome leg surgeries where they can't jump anymore to lengthen them, too. Because they feel so insecure with their height. It's very, very freaky.
All the perfection made people think that the natural imperfections that everyone else has was something to be ashamed of. Inevitably, influencers were ready to swoop in and sell solutions to the problem they had made worse, most of them promoting harmless temporary fixes like their own cosmetic brands and makeup. The Kardashians would gain hundreds of millions of followers on Instagram, and then promote their makeup lines, making billions in the process. But for some of these Instagram-fueled insecurities, there was only one way to really change it.
Oh, I just remembered. One of my little cousins in Russia, they found out about Instagram and her mom banned it off her phone. Like, she uninstalled and like banned it. So like she put parental controls on it because she found out that she wanted to be like Kim Kardashian. She wanted makeup. First it was like a little bit harmless. She's like, "Oh, mommy, I want makeup, right?" And I was like, I heard about this like through my mom and like my aunt. And they were like, she was like, "I first thought it was harmless, and then I found out that she was looking at Kim Kardashian on her phone and thinking that she could get like a Brazilian butt lift because they think that they have to look like that. They don't realize it's fake. They're like, 'Oh, mommy, I want bigger lips,' and she's like, 'You're 13 or 14. Like, what? Huh? Like, why do you want to look like that?' So she banned Instagram off her phone."
If you wanted a bigger butt like the models on Instagram, a slimmer waistline, bigger boobs, or for guys a better jawline, a better face, plastic surgery was the easiest and quickest option. It didn't matter that it was fake. If it worked for other people, it would work for you too. The whole insecurity was built on fake image to begin with. And so Instagram has duped tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of people into thinking they had a real problem, and that the only way to fix this problem would be through medical procedures. If you could just save up enough money, maybe you could look like your idol. Maybe then you could get enough likes. And
yeah, like I said, there was that Korean girl who said that she gets like a $50 every birthday or Christmas, where she would save it for her surgery when she turns like 18 or something.
I remember watching a video about models, and they even photoshopped the model to look thinner.
They'll take out moles and imperfections off your face, even if it's like beautiful. Like, you have a cute mole on your face, they'll think it's not good enough and they'll Photoshop it out.
Attention to finally
Crazy.
feel worthy. Little do people realize it's an endless problem that you'll never be happy with. Of course, plastic surgery won't fix your insecurities. After one procedure is over, something else pops up that needs to be fixed. Realistically, even if you don't mind plastic surgery, it's still better in moderation. A few touch-ups could be seen as a positive thing if it doesn't lead to more insecurity, but the beauty standards that Instagram was pushing didn't push people towards moderation. Instead, they made everyone else want to look the same. And the more of your friends that got plastic surgery, the more of your idols that got surgery, the bigger the desire you'd have yourself for getting surgery. People call it the Instagram face, characterized by perfect skin, luscious and full lips, sharp cheekbones, and long eyelashes. It's become what millions of young women around the world dream of having. Of course,
I saw a girl on TikTok saying that she got filters for her face that alter and warp their face, and then she went to a doctor and said, "I want to look like this." But then when you actually go to do the surgery, the doctor's like, "It's not gonna look the same because the lens in the camera makes your face look different, and then it warps your face. You look like a freaky doll after all the surgeries you go through."
Only possible with surgery,
It's
Botox,
sad,
and Photoshop,
Dojo.
and the world will move on to a different beauty standard before long.
Like this. You look disproportionate, but because you're taking a photo, it looks like decent, I guess, to them.
But this hasn't stopped people from trying to achieve this illusion. It's especially noticeable in celebrities and promoted everywhere on Instagram's algorithm. Whether or not plastic surgery is involved, tons of models, singers, and movie stars have slowly changed their image to match the Instagram templates. Ariana Grande is a good example. You can see the progression towards the Instagram singularity over time with this picture.
Yeah, this is when she was on Nickelodeon and she was underage, and when she turned 18, she started doing surgeries. You can even see her chin shape changing. Like right here. It's basically the same angle on her face, but here it's a lot sharper. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I would be very surprised. Yeah, her eyes look different. I'm pretty sure she got her nose done. She made her nose thinner. It could be the makeup. Again, it's hard to tell, but her face looks different.
Notice how her eyes have gone stretched out, her nose has changed, and her lips have gotten fuller. She's also lost an unhealthy amount of weight, which is a huge problem when it isn't healthy. Obviously, people can look whatever way they want to look, but there's something really sad about all of these young people getting duped into thinking their natural beauty isn't good enough. The modern standards that Instagram and its whole culture have imposed on people drives them to do this to themselves. Of course, that's not the only soul-destroying app that pushes people towards cosmetic surgery. Improving your performance on dating apps are also some of the top reasons people go under the knife. The most popular dating apps focus the courtship process almost purely on what people look like. People look at your picture for a second or two, then make a split-second decision on whether you meet their standards. You can easily see why plastic surgery would give you an advantage for this. Filters
and now you have to pay to win to get more swipes. Chat, did you know that Tinder has changed so much since like 2016 when it first came out or when it became popular? You have to pay for more swipes. Oh my god. They have like the platinum edition where you can swipe endlessly or something, as opposed to getting locked. Yeah, there's like 5 different tiers. It's just so disgusting. How you could take a dating app, which was so innocent initially. It's like, oh, well, you can sign up and like use your email and your phone number to like swipe and talk to people. Now it's the same. Now it's this weird, like, I'm gonna sell everything. Then we react to a Tinder video. Yeah, it's on the YouTubes. Now there's like platinum tier, diamond tier. It locks out people who are too poor for Tinder for certain tiers. You can't interact with people who are below you in class.
Editing helps, but it's too obvious if it's done poorly.
Like money class.
An artificial face underneath all of that makes the final picture much more effective. Lots of the procedures that give you an Instagram face also work especially well with filters and airbrushing. So much so that some people design their own faces to look especially good in their online photos.
Yes, because that's what I was talking about with the girl that looked kind of like an alien. Because it doesn't look good when it's from that angle, but if, I'm assuming that when she's taking a selfie, it looks fine.
It's something when you actually look at them. While you may think the Instagram face looks good on Instagram itself, next to a group of normal people in real life, it just looks kind of strange and alien. One thing about all the ways Instagram has led to the rise in plastic surgery is that it doesn't discriminate by age. In fact, young people and even teenagers are much more susceptible to the coordinated attack on your self-image that Instagram delivers. While the Instagram face doesn't really bear any relation to people's natural faces, it is similar to someone who's in their early to late 20s. All the teenagers browsing Instagram and wishing they look that good.
I told you, man. It happens to teenagers. I heard it from my little nephew from my cousin. She had to ban Instagram off her phone. Really based. I agree, but like it's scary to think that that's a reality.
Attempted to get procedures that make them look older rather than younger. This is the reason why plastic surgery and cosmetic procedures are growing fastest amongst people under 30. And
almost 20%. Almost 20%, 13 to 19. You can't even drink alcohol at most of these ages in most countries. Even in the most lenient ones, you can't drink alcohol at this point. And they can let you go under the knife where they want to. Oh my gosh. 2020. That was only 4 years ago, chat. There's actually a parents to support this. Oh my god. Oh
even faster
Lord.
in teenagers. Some of these procedures are what's called preventative plastic surgery. People are getting Botox and other things done in order to prevent future wrinkles. Not just
but then you're getting them addicted to Botox. And I don't mean like physically addicted. You're mentally addicted to it because you see it sag when the Botox starts wearing off. And then by the time you're 30, you have to constantly inject yourself with Botox. Do they not understand that? I know for a fact that these kids just don't know any better. Yeah, a lifelong client. Yeah, exactly. That's disgusting.
Just fasten the ones already there. I mean, it's truly insane that people are trying to fix a false problem that hasn't even happened yet because of one app. Another far more disturbing
You don't even get wrinkles by the time you're like 13. What the
procedure is buccal fat removal. It's been all the rage on Instagram for quite a while now because it matches the current beauty standards online. Even if you don't know what it really is, you'll recognize the effects. In the procedure, a surgeon makes cuts inside the mouth and removes what's called the buccal fat pad, which rests under the cheekbones. The result is far more prominent cheekbones and that sunken, hollow look that's all the rage right now.
But it looks terrible by the time you hit like 35. That's what happens to the Hollywood actors. I've seen it. I've seen the pictures of them at the red carpet, like old ones, like Jennifer Aniston, Kylie Minogue, Paris Hilton also probably had this surgery done. She's had like a bunch of them, where they have that hollow look, but because they're so old, there's no more fat anymore. So when you lose that fat over time, as you get older, you look skinnier. It's so scary.
It makes you look far older and your face look thinner, but it's not without giant risks. The procedure itself—
Why do you have that done so early? I guess it's just because they don't inform them because they don't care.
Can be painful and dangerous, but as people get older, their faces naturally get thinner and the natural layer of fat in your face gets less prominent. It's an irreversible procedure. All of the people getting it might regret it in 10 years down the line, unless they were going for that skeleton.
Yep, exactly. This is what I was talking about. 10 years later and you get that really freaky sunken in look and you can't get that fat back. It's gone forever, but because your body ages naturally, that happens normally and you don't get that sunken in look. Even here, I feel like you just need like more cheeks. I don't know. It's so sad.
If we want to look at where we might be in the future with the rise of cosmetic surgery, we only need to turn to South Korea. The country is in the future of plastic surgery. A third of Korean women aged 19 to 29 have undergone the knife, and the number—
Yep. I always got told that I have really pretty eyelids by all the South Korean girls that were exchange students. There was like a gaggle of them because they would all congregate and like talk and learn English together and then like go to their classes, right? But my one that was my friend, her name was Yoonjin. She was really, really nice and very, very sweet. But she told me, she's like, yeah, like when I go back to Korea, I'm gonna get the surgery done after high school. And I was like, why? You're so pretty. She's like, oh no, I'm not pretty. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? It is crazy. They have such bad like body image issues. She had clear skin, she had cute eyes, really pretty hair. Like she would dye it like a little bit of an off color, like an auburn off color. And I was like, I just blew my mind. And she always said, oh, Alana, you have such pretty eyelids. And I'm like, why? And she's like, because they're like an in-between of like almond shape, but then they also have like a monolid. I kind of have like rather Asian looking eyes, but the point is she would always say, you have very pretty eyes. I'm like, thanks, I guess. Just so crazy to me that it happened like when I was in high school.
Numbers just keep on rising, especially amongst young people. 60% of South Korean high school students want to get surgery in the future. There's even stories of young people winning plastic surgery vouchers from their schools to help with their future careers.
That's what I'm saying! And then the parents encourage it too!
So what's going on here in this show and—
Oh, it's insane. J-pop and not J-pop, K-pop groups, all of them have numerous surgeries done on their face, and sometimes they get skin bleaching as well, very light skin bleaching so that they look paler. It's a really serious problem.
Music video. Conforming to this standard has become the same as any other social rule or cultural pressure. It becomes almost rude to assault other people's eyes with your appearance if it doesn't match the cultural mold. Your face and how you look get wrapped up into the idea of success and happiness pushed by the rest of the culture. No wonder plastic surgery is so popular. It's become the difference between getting that promotion you've been working towards and missing out. The same thing that's happened in South Korea has also come to China as well. The industry is booming there now. The amount of people getting surgery increased by 600% between 2009 2009 and 2018,
I wonder why.
this huge demand has led to a sharp spike in unlicensed and dangerous plastic surgery.
Oh, yeah, the Dr. Kim. Chad, do you remember we watched the Dr. Kim botched surgeries with that really freaky looking guy with the gray hair? And it looked like there was like a face molded on top of his face. Oh my gosh.
Has led to some truly horrifying results. And what you're seeing here right now
This one. Oh my
is
god.
the work of a mysterious figure known online.
Ah! And they can't move their eyes and their lips because it's like you're pulling back the face and it's botched. Oh my god, I remember this now. This was like 3 months ago we watched this video. It was Oompa. Oompaville did a video on this. Oh my god.
And as
He
Dr.
looks
Kim,
like this. Yeah,
he came to
does.
prominence on TikTok after these videos showing his patient's uncanny transformations went viral. They're clear examples of what can go
Oh my god, this is terrifying. They can't move their face, essentially, after.
So fun fact, the league streamer LS underwent surgery to have the glands in his armpits removed so he doesn't have BO. It was covered under health insurance cause it is considered a genetic defect.
See, that's different. I had an ex in high school that had a cleft lip, and it was considered cosmetic surgery, even though it was something that was supposed to help him breathe better. Because apparently he couldn't breathe through both nostrils very well, like, which is really bad because it can impede your breathing. And I remember he had a rather minor surgery done in his inside of his nose, but that's a genetic defect. It's not like something that was, you know, like something that was like just for fun, or oh, I'm gonna become beautiful. Yeah, that's different. A deviated septum. Yeah, he had a deviated septum and a cleft lip. So he had to get a bunch of surgery, and I think he had a total of like 10 or something. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, and it hurts your face. I remember he said he couldn't sleep properly because his nose hurt really bad, but ultimately it helped him in the long run.
Go horribly wrong with plastic surgery. The facelifts are so tight, it looks completely unnatural.
Oh, and then they always give him like really weird eye shapes, and it looks like they're in pain the whole time. 7 days after, I mean, he's probably still in pain. Look at the bruising on his neck too. Look at that yellow and like purple bruising.
And people are paying a fortune for this. Their natural beauty has vanished under an artificial glaze, and you're left wondering
She looks fine.
whether they can even smile or frown
Oh my god! Ah!
anymore. Now it makes sense through the
She looked normal before. She looked like a lady that I get food from at the store.
lens of cultural
And now she
conformity.
looks like an
Pressures to look young and
alien.
attractive is so high that people are led to these extremes and are willing to do anything to achieve that sense of perfection.
I meant to add this, but it entered too fast. In South Korea is considered a genetic defect.
Oh, is it actually? I didn't know that. That's kind of freaky, though. Glands in his armpits removed so he doesn't have BO? Isn't that kind of bad, though? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that's still pretty extreme. I guess I was talking more in like the experience of my ex, but that's pretty bad. You're supposed to sweat, no?
Even going to unlicensed butchers like Dr. Kim, and Tuv's series investigating these images has led to some
Yeah, this was the video we watched, chat. This one.
even going to unlicensed butchers like Dr. Kim, and Tuv's
Yeah, we watched this one. Highly recommend it. It's tough.
series investigating these
Yeah.
images has led to some really dark
Freaky.
stories, as it appears that Dr. Kim is not one person but a pseudonym used by a shady unlicensed plastic surgery company called Shanghai Huzong Medical Beauty Clinic. And from the evidence he gathered, they've been accused of using expired drugs, have been sued by multiple people and companies, and they've even trafficked counterfeited drugs to use in their practice. Whilst these pictures definitely aren't indicative of China's entire beauty industry, they do show where criminals can turn a profit from exploiting it. All the normal, even handsome people you see in the before pictures were unhappy with how they looked because their culture made them insecure. It opened the door to criminals
50-year-old man. Why do you need surgery at 58?
looking to make an easy buck, with no regard for what their victims will have to live with for the rest of their
It looks way, 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 way worse than before. 100%.
lives. And it seems like the West is moving farther towards this point of cultural conformity with the help of Instagram, the biggest promoter of these artificial beauty standards. Sure, there's more virtue signaling than ever. Everyday corporate media outlets tell people that differences are good and that we
Her face like shifted. That's what I'm talking about with the TikTok filters.
should love our own features and characteristics, whatever they might be. But at the same time, it does seem like we're going in the opposite direction. The pressures to have a perfect body and face is so high. Nearly everyone on TV and in films looks pretty much the same, all completely plastic, fake, and hollow. It doesn't matter what the context is in Hollywood now. If your shirt comes off in a movie, you need a six-pack and you need to be on steroids. And then also lie about it. The dating world is by far the best indicator for how selective people's beauty standards have become. With modern dating apps and our image-focused culture, your face needs to pass the swipe test before you can even play the game. More and more men and women get pushed out of the system, rejected because they no longer conform well enough to the modern Instagram-faced beauty standard and its male counterpart. And so much exposure to inhuman perfection on Instagram has warped people's standards and made a whole generation of lonely outcasts. There's even people talking about an incel revolution nowadays, as more and more
Oh no. The incel revolution where we only look at anime girls and get anime girl AI girlfriends.
more people get pushed to the
no.
sidelines without any romantic interests, while at the same time, another huge section of people are becoming
State-mandated girlfriends.
That's right. AI state mandated girlfriends.
literally plastic. That's why you should never expose yourself to the toxic sludge that Instagram promotes, as every time you go on the
Any social media promotes. Twitter does this too. Yeah.
app, you're subtly, subconsciously becoming more and more insecure. Disconnecting from Instagram's twisted beauty standards means that you can actually truly appreciate people that the rest of the world might not even see.
Yeah.
Brothers, attractiveness is a skill issue. Get fit, eat well, take care of your mind.
You have to be exceptionally low on the like genetic dice lottery roll to be truly like ugly. You really do. A lot of people, if they just worked out, lost weight, it would make a huge difference.
I guess
There's
the
not
question
many
then
people.
becomes if there is a state of critical mass. How would this development come to a head? Is there one come to?
A critical mass? Again, I don't have the answers, man. I feel like this has been going on for like 20 years. Or like maybe not 20, like 15 years, I'd rather say.
Yes? Tell that to my 5 head and giant schnoz that they're a skill issue.
I genuinely don't think you're ugly, man. If you have a 5-head and giant schnoz, that's not a bad dice roll. I'm telling you, I dated a guy for a while in high school that had a cleft lip. Guys, I don't think you understand. Like, that is the 0.5% where you rolled the dice badly. Where you can't breathe through your nose. He couldn't do sports. Like, he wasn't like a super fit guy. He was skinny. But he couldn't do running for extended periods of time because he couldn't breathe through his nose properly. They were scared they had to put him on a machine to sleep in because he couldn't breathe through his nose at one point, and they had to do the surgery. You having a giant schnoz or like a big forehead or I don't know, like slightly like, I don't know, cross-eyed eyes, that's really not that bad. I'm talking like you have a deformity of your face or something.